Bikefitting.com was acquired by Shimano 2 years ago. The 10 dimensions that we do here, so we put in the customer data. Once we enter in the height, the program bases on our database with 750,000 measurements, what the average are and also what the limitations are, so the limits are. So it helps you to ensure the measurements are done correctly. So then we can select the type of measurement. We are supporting road, mountain bike of course, but also touring, cyclocross, triathlon, time trial. So we have almost everything in there. With only 4 measurements we're still able to do city bikes, for example. So a very flexible setup in that sense. For road racing, for example, we have competition, sport and comfort. So depending on the customer that you have, maybe he's only just starting, you can set him up with a comfort setting. And what we then come up with is the cycling geometry. And the geometry is a generic profile. For example, if you would have a custom built bike. We used to translate this to a customer's bike, but we saw it's a bit of a tricky process. So what we did, we built in a plug-in, we call it. So in this case, we will select one of the 55 brands, being a Cannondale. Happens to be a good fit for this person. So a Super 6. And then what we see is that the program calculates the size and gives only the relevant dimensions to set up the bike for this frame size. So we can also change it if a customer comes in and says, oh, I always want a 58. Change it and see what happens to the Sistema, etc. We have here the position simulator. What we do with this equipment is translating the geometry that we either get from our measurement on that device or from the consumer bike already and set it up on this one. How we do it is our laser tool. So it points out, it shoots out a laser beam here, and we center on the crank center, and then with the XY data we get from the software we can put the handlebar and the saddle in the correct position. So then we can put the customer on here, and we have a quick release for the handlebar, so you can easily change it out. The final one, this will be mounted lower, so it's not attached to the handlebar for ease of use. Same for the saddle, quick release here. So we can adjust the angle and also quickly change out the saddle, like you see here. So for example, the Pro saddle concept we could use, and important to know is that also we are brand neutral. So we can use any saddle, any pedal, any handlebar. We want to support the dealer, that is our main purpose. So then we go to the third contact point, which is the pedal. And the pedal is also interchangeable with a different brand. From the pedal we go to the crank, and that's where we really have the key feature of this bike. The crank is length adjustable from 155 to 180 millimeters. So with 2.5 millimeter increments you can set it either to the result of the program or to what the customer has. And then we have the final really unique feature of this bike, which is power analysis. You know power cap can tell you how many watts you're putting on the road. But we go a step further. We are able to measure power in 3D. So what you see is that we can measure every 7 degrees in 3D force. So as Lloyd is pedaling, we can see that he's putting forward motion and backward motion in. And in the bottom you can see where he's applying the pressure on the pedal. And we can use that. Ideally we want to have him centered on the pedal to have the best efficiency. You see the number here. 27%, that's meaning that the energy is putting into the system. 40% or 17% in this case is only used for forward motion. So we can look in the number to improve that. We put less emphasis on the power that is output, but more on improving the efficiency with this equipment. This is a more detailed page of where Lloyd is applying the power. You see that the power is pretty centered, but still a bit outwards on both sides. Maybe has to do with some of the perfect cycling shoes he has on right now. We see that he's now spreading imbalancing the foot a bit. So, especially what we see with a too big shoe or an insole that's not supporting enough, you see a very unstable foot. So, insole change, for example, with the Shimano custom fit insoles, we can stabilize the foot, and we can really see it here. Level 3 is the motion analysis camera, which you already see on the screen on the right of it. Our camera is similar to what some already do on the market, in the sense that we use we use 8 LEDs to measure the position of the person on the bike, and we are able with our camera to pick those up as points in space. Our camera has 2 unique features in the hardware perspective. You can just put it down, you don't need to level it manually, you can just rotate it 90 degrees it still works. So that means you can easily pick it up from the left to the right side. There are 2 harnesses included, so we can almost do simultaneous measurement on both sides, because there are 2 harnesses included as well. And then the technical part of the camera is around 12 times faster as our direct competitor in that sense, and it enables us, if we review the data, that we can tell, okay, not only at this point and this point, but all steps in between. Every 3.7 degrees we can tell how your body is performing, how the foot angle will be in that position. So that's a lot of data from the camera, ease of use, but then in the software we use it in 2 ways. We have the advanced mode and the wizard mode. Advanced mode displays all the raw data, the angles, the numbers, which if we drag the screen a bit you can see. So you see all the raw numbers, and if you are an experienced fitter, you can use those numbers and they translate to an ideal geometry. However, if you're starting or you have someone else in the shop, these numbers can be pretty daunting. So what we've built in is the wizard mode, and the wizard mode takes a lot of the knowledge that the fitter has in his head into the logic of the software. So what we do is we do a flexibility test with a harness on in front of the camera. The software assesses a flexibility range, and then we go on the bike. The camera captures 10 revolutions and then able to say, okay, in this case move the saddle up with 20 millimeters. Yeah, this is a demo purpose, so the numbers are a bit moving. But you see the ease of use, the accessibility that we built in the software, even for the most advanced camera that we have. So then in the end, we end up with perfect position on the bike here. But of course, we need it on the consumer's bike, so again, we go to our XY laser tool. We capture the new XY data of the handlebar and the saddle, and then either we put it in the program, it recalculates frame size and stem length, like we saw with level 1 in the beginning, so it comes back to that, or we shoot the laser also the other way, and then we can directly copy it to the consumer bike. So it's a copy tool in that sense, so you get all the measurements for, like I said, a generic frame. On the second page here is the XY data to set up the handlebar and the saddle correctly. So you see the measurements there. Then we go to the other report, which in this case was a Scott Contessa, and then we have all the measurements specifically for this bike. So either this can be used for the workshop or also to share with the customer. This is the next page, which comes from power analysis, so an overview of how you are performing, the watts that you're outputting, the balance between left and right leg. And especially this page and the next page are relevant for adjusting. You see the maximum torque angle, so if there's a lot of difference we can look at length discrepancy, if we can change anything there, and your power profile.
Is there a thing that consumers tend to often need to have adjust when they have a proper bike fitting, see that actually something they've been doing? Is there a particular thing that a lot of people do wrong when they set their bikes up themselves?
When they set them up themselves, we see anything. We see saddles up with 5 centimeters too high, 5 centimeters too low. Stem length needs to be changed a lot, but also especially the motor. The cleats are just popped under the shoe and there's no real attention to the cleats or the insoles. That's really with this equipment we address the stability and the correct position of the cleats. You see a lot of injuries happening with knees, for example, and then the advice is often contradictory to what is productive to solve knee injury. But there are a lot of contradictory advices in this, which we really can verify with our equipment, which is the right one.